Hello and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge here at 5:49 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I couldn't remember. I was about to say Eastern. Central Daylight Time. Yeah, it's still dark outside. We have a tropical storm heading our way in the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think it's going to hit us, and I think we're going to be on the west side of it, which means the impact here will be minimal. But you never know, so we'll see. I'm not particularly worried about it, which may be foolish. All right. Well, anyway, we have, and they canceled school and everything. I mean, they always kind of go overboard with stuff. T.W. Samuel's Kentucky Blended Whiskey. This I purchased at Winn-Dixie. It can be purchased for about $7 a bottle. $7 or $8 a bottle. It's there is also a T.W. Samuel's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey and a T.W. Samuel's Bottled in Bond. Now, which is the original? I don't know. This is the blended, and this is the only one sold in Louisiana to my knowledge. It's made by Heaven Hill these days. There's the original label if you can see it without the glare. See that red T.W. Samuel's? This item, the T.W. Samuel's whiskey, has been on the market since 1844. True story, 1844. Now, it's interesting to look at that label. It has a lot of things on it, a lot of action on it. Then the main label is just kind of bland. You know, it just looks like a standard 19th century label, 1800s label. It's not too fancy at all. Every drop contains Kentucky whiskey. Kentucky whiskey is our business. Kentucky Blended Whiskey. Bardstown, Nelson County, Kentucky. You get the message. They're trying to let you know this is from Kentucky. And it's choice blended whiskey, meaning nothing legally. It's just a word they use. Possesses the character and taste a connoisseur desires and expects from a great whiskey. A distinctive blend. Blended at a 80-20 ratio, age 36 months. From Heaven Hill. Now, there's no legal thing about that. That's all just open descriptors. You can use that. It's like beer. They take the worst beer and it's premium beer. So this is deluxe, choice, a great whiskey. A connoisseur's whiskey. I'm not over here putting it down. I mean, last night we were doing the hangout with Black Velvet, and I was making fun of rich and rare whiskey, and I was just really kidding around. I wasn't entirely serious at all, and I've never had rich and rare, so I shouldn't be putting it down. And when I do the review, I'll be open-minded about it, okay? I mean, it's just that you can get it for $7.49 a bottle at Walmart, so you figure it's got to be junk. But sometimes you'd be surprised. And then there's the Rich and Rare Reserve, $10.99 even. I've seen it $9.99, but normally $10.99 or higher. And that's probably okay. But I mean, I was just kind of like blasting it just to kid around. But I wouldn't want people to think that I'm judging a product before I drink it. And I'm not. I really am not. And if you're watching Johnny Nearly, realize that. I think he realized I was just joking around. All right. So I'm actually curious to try Rich and Rare next month. It might be this month, but we'll do the examination next month at some point. But I might try it this month. Okay. Well, you say, what are you? All right, come on, go. Let's go. What are you going up against? Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill, who makes this, and Heaven Hill, who makes that. Heaven Hill, Kentucky Blended Whiskey. This is the one that's common around here. St. John the Baptist Parish, St. Charles Parish, Jefferson Parish, Orleans Parish. This is the common one. I see it at Racetrack for $6.19 a bottle. True story, $6.19. I don't know when it came out, but I think it's been around since about 1934 when Prohibition ended. The company got going, okay? And they always have made a blended whiskey. Now you might say, you mean a cheap whiskey? Yeah, that's what I mean. And they make it look like an old general store sign, you know, a wooden placard. So it's kind of a nice label, like Old Country Whiskey. And it says Heaven Hills, the #1 Kentucky whiskey, Kentucky blended whiskey. This is their #1 selling Kentucky blended whiskey. If I go to the Baton Rouge area, let's say St. James Parish, that's heading more towards Baton Rouge, Ascension Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish, Livingston, Tangipahoa. I'm not sure about St. Tammany, though. I didn't really scout that out as far as their standard Heaven Hill brand. But if you go to those areas I'm talking about, north and west of Lake Maurepas and Pontchartrain, their showcase cheap whiskey is T.W. Samuel's. And I suppose, and I have no way to back this up, I'm just assuming, okay? I don't know. But I suppose that Heaven Hill doesn't want two of their cheap brands going up against each other. So they must tell the distributor, look, either you pick this one or you pick that one. That's available for Louisiana. Now they've got probably 25 blended whiskeys available around the country, but they're just saying, here's what we offer for that region. And they say, oh, okay. But I did see Kentucky Gold in Baton Rouge at one convenience store. One store. But I didn't really do too much research. Okay, next time I go to an LSU football game, if people go with me, then I'm not going to be able to do all that scouting because they're going to say, well, we got to stop at all these places. But if no one goes with me, that'll give me the opportunity to scout. Now, like my friend David, I mean, if he went, yeah, he'd want to stop everywhere to scout. He'd be more interested in that than the game. He's not really into the sports. But I will check and see if there's more Kentucky Gold, because that's Heaven Hill as well, you see. All right, I had a good breakfast because I had 2 large eggs. I'll scramble them up in the bowl with the fork, just a fork, not even an egg whipper. But I kind of like the way the egg beater, you know, I kind of like the way the fork does it. It blends it kind of differently. And then I had the extra virgin olive oil in the pan. At first I had it too hot. I was like, what are you doing? You're not thinking. So I had this great value, no, retraction, Surefine luncheon meat, which is a mimic of Spam, but it's different. It's sort of like based on the Libby's luncheon meat. You know, Spam, you can cut it straight top to bottom, and it's so like a loaf, like a I don't know what you call it, a luncheon loaf. It just cuts like perfect, you know. But then if you get the Libby's or what's based on Libby's, I think this Surefine luncheon meat, it's more like scrapple, like I think they eat that in Pennsylvania. It doesn't, you can't cut it straight down. It'll come apart and break up into like, it's like chopped ham. You know what I mean? Like canned chopped ham. So you got to cut it in little pieces and then you put it in the pan. So I had that frying up, and then I cut up the yellow onions and diced it. And then I put some of the Trappy's original Louisiana hot sauce and some black pepper on it. And I had some cut up, some sliced Colby Jack / cheddar cheese blend. And it came out real nice. Okay. With 3 cups of coffee. Now, food sounds so good. I'm Sir Ron. Oh, CS Nasty. Are you drinking? Yeah, I'm about to start tasting, not really drinking. Am Happy says, Sir Ron, Hawaii times. Okay, meatloaf. Yeah, well, this is like pork loaf, you know, like luncheon meat. Okay. Let me go get a little bit of water, though, because I know I'm going to get thirsty. Okay, because that saltiness does kind of take some. Wow. I'm not going to sit there and make fun of these 2 whiskeys. They're not too good, okay? Let's be honest. But the T.W. Samuel's in isolation, and I was ranting about this last night on the Black Velvet Hangout. In isolation, the T.W. Samuel's perform very well. Now, how it's going to do in taste challenges, I don't know. John Anile And I like the fact that he's stuck by his guns. We were saying we didn't like Black Velvet, and he was talking about he liked it a lot. And he's stuck by his guns, and you got to call it like you see it, and you battle it out, you know. So that was why the hangout was so good. A lot of times people, they'll be meek, you know, and oh, well, you know, they don't want to stand up for their contention. But he was defending his score, and he wasn't cowering, you know, and that's what I like. It was all respectful, you know, and everything, but T.W. Samuels. But a lot of times with these hangouts, there's too much groupthink, you know, all this, like, I'm not saying I'm against camaraderie, that's very good, but it's all of this wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, hi, 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 hi. Oh, yeah, 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 you know. Hey, hey, the gang's all here, and yak, 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 and yak it up, and ha, 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 yada, yada, yada. And it's like, okay, well, you know, what is all this? And here's the Heaven Hill. You know, I don't know why people buy this stuff. I don't see much to it. It's like bland. It's 80% corn distillate. It's just filler, grain neutral spirits. The color, that color's coming from the 20% straight bourbon, the Heaven Hill straight bourbon. This is aged 3 years too. But they buy like crazy around here. You say, well, your area is poor. You might say Louisiana's a poor state, so that's why they buy it. Because it's a cheap drink for people with no money. Oh, yeah, and that's probably true. Hawaii. Went to a spam festival in Hawaii. Oh, yeah, that's a big thing over there. And this guy I work with from Nicaragua, he's from Managua, he said, man, down there, if you're eating spam, that means you're rich. In other words, he said down there, it's like a specialty food that only wealthy people can buy. I said, what are you talking about? He said, no, it's true. Like, you know, over here it might be $2.64 a can for spam at Walmart. Over there it might be $10.64, you see. So I said, golly gee. But those countries down there are very socialistic and corrupt, and you have a lot of like government involvement in the economy that's supposedly going to help the common man, but usually that's why the grocery stores are empty and they have food riots, and you got goons in masks going around beating people up that dare to criticize the government. But somehow we want that to come here. Not really. All right. I know. Everyone is the same around the world. Paul McCartney said that in that song about the piano keys. Everyone's the same wherever you go. If you don't study empirical evidence. Okay. Bored too much. They look identically gold. I swear, identically golden. Let me sip down a little bit of this now. I'll mix them again. I don't know which is which. Do I plan to buy more American blended whiskey when I'm finished with my backstock? I really do not plan to do that. It could happen, but I can't see it happening. Like Robert, like the Whiskey Scout said last night, there's not enough differentiation. So it just becomes like repetitive. And it's true. And he was talking about the cheap Scotch whiskeys, the blended, they're all like the same thing. And he didn't see any point to going through each one and doing taste challenges. And I cannot argue against that. I do it just because I like to be exact and go through each thing and, you know, like that. But I can understand other people not doing it. And I'm not too excited about doing T.W. Samuels against everything else. I'm not expecting a whole lot. It's going to be like blah versus blah versus blah versus blah versus blah. And you might say, I don't want to watch that. Yeah, well, then I would say don't watch it, and I wouldn't hold that against you. And I would say that's fine. I can understand that attitude. Here we go. I don't really have any confidence that I'm going to be able to tell T.W. Samuels apart from any of them. Well, maybe Seven Crown. Seagram Seven Crown does seem to have a little bit more going for it than the others in that world. So you can kind of differentiate it, but I'm not super confident. I'm going to tell you right now. So price doesn't really matter. Yeah, you'll pay $12 a bottle for the 7 Crown, Seagram 7 Crown, but it's better, But all the rest, yeah, you'll pay $7, $8, $9 because they're all like run of the mill. That's the word to say. But if you go to restaurants and bars and you kind of like secretly look and see what's underneath it, like I do that, I'll be talking and I'm looking. Because they get paranoid, like if you go to a bar and you're looking over the counter to see what's underneath the counter, they get paranoid, like, why are you doing that? Oh, I'm just curious to see what y'all, when people say a bourbon and Coke, I'm curious to see what you grab. And I'm like, oh, a bourbon and Coke, but you're grabbing T.W. Samuels. Oh, bourbon. Okay. That lady didn't say she wanted a blended whiskey and Coke. Oh, but they'll say, I want a Beam and Coke. Oh, Beam's 8-star, ain't that special? So you got to, they'll do it. They all do it. I've been to nice restaurants in New Orleans, and I'm talking about places that's going to cost you a lot of money. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, yeah, Crown Rust vodka. Wow, they really splurged today. Crown Rust now. If you see somebody buying that at the grocery store, you laugh and say, Crown Rust, what an old alcoholic, But then you'll make that comment and go to a restaurant and eat their food, and you say, oh, it's so wonderful. This food's so great. Then, but look behind the counter. Look what they have. Now, they'll put 7 Crown up on the shelf. You see, they'll put that up there in front of the mirror, the 7 Crown. They're not ashamed of that. But they ain't putting Crown Rust up there. Or you say, Crystal Palace Gin. Oh, golly. All right. Enough rant and rave. But, just check them out. You'll see. This one smells very sour mash, and I'm going to tell you right now, look what Heaven Hill says. This is important, I think. This might differentiate. Sour mash Kentucky whiskey is the 20% straight whiskey. Nowhere does the T.W. Samuels talk about sour mash whiskey. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And see, I'm getting a little bit of that cornbread and that sourdough bread. You get that sometimes with sour mash whiskey. I know you say, yeah, it doesn't have nothing to do with sour. It's a priming method, you idiot. Read up. I know about all that. Still, it has some of that. But this seems to also, all right, I'm trying. Okay. They're very similar. Let's get that straight. I don't mean identical, but dang close. Like practically the same. Although one of them seems to have a little mintiness, almost like a spearmint. My mom used to grow mint in the backyard and put it in tea. It was very minty, but I don't know what kind of mint it was. It seemed like spearmint. This one maybe has that. I don't know, man. I better mix them again. I want to be sure. You say mix them again. I'm turning the video off. I understand that if you do. All right. I'm not going to mix them for long. I want to be very careful. All right. All right. I got it mixed up. All right. I'm not really picking up any difference in the aroma. It's so minimal. I couldn't tell them apart. No way. It's corn bread, corn distillate, but it is mild. This one here doesn't have that harsh jackhammer burn that you get with a lot of those 80% grain neutral spirit concoctions. It'd just be like dun, 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 dun. I even said that about Black Velvet, that it was smooth like a jackhammer. It's supposed to be smooth as velvet. I don't know about that. This one has a little pleasantness to it. Notice I never talked about how it had fabulous flavor. I said mild, pleasant, and non-abrasive. It's basically the same. This one might have a little more melon. Hey, wait a minute. Starting to think. Didn't I say that about Heaven Hill a few months ago, that it had a melon flavor, like a cantaloupe or even a honeydew melon? Yeah, now you see, I think that's going to be the key to the riddle today, this morning. Oh, well, still dark. So one's got this strange mint. One's got the melon. True. I'm in Kansas. It is the most economically unproductive state in the country. I'm not aware of that. Ron, what do you think about baseball season? True. Well, I like baseball season. I was watching every highlight this morning. That's why I got up so early. I was watching the highlight, they call it the daily recap on MLB.com, and it's about a 2.5 minute recap of each game. And I watched all 15 highlights. So I do that every morning. I don't think I've missed a highlight the whole season. But I don't know how many fans do that. How many fans you think wake up super early so they can watch the daily recap of every Major League Baseball game? I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that's what I do. I'm not saying other people. If you don't do it, doesn't mean you're not a fan. You probably go to way more games than I go to. Although I have been to every Major League Baseball stadium, to games there, not just passing by and walking in. Games. And more than 30, because I've been to stadiums that no longer are used or have been demolished. How many people you think have been to every Major League Baseball stadium? Now, that is kind of bragging, but that was a goal I accomplished. My friend Paul and I started that goal. Let's go to every Major League ballpark. And we started working on it in 2002. Well, he didn't finish it. He did a good amount of them, but he didn't finish it. He got sidetracked with other things, but I said, I'm doing it. I'm going to all, you know. Man, I'll tell you what. They both have a little bit of wood and a little bit of char, but the main component with these two is like bland, blah, nothing, and topped off with nothing. So it's sort of like nothing finished with nothing. Then you might say, you're just being negative. I know I'm being negative because what I'm drinking is not positive. You know what I mean? They're not worth much. You say, well, they only cost $7 a bottle. I know, and that's about what they're worth, if that. I don't know. I think the Sazerac blended whiskeys are a little better. They have a less of this kind of tangy, disgusting quality to them. These have some of that. It's like a tangy, offensive thing. At least the Sazerac blended whiskeys like Club 400 have a higher rye content. Like they have some spiciness with them. And I'm dreading the Kentucky Gold because that's even worse. Because it's like, you know how bad this is? Well, Kentucky Gold is even worse than that. I suppose if you don't like the strong taste of whiskey, this might work because it's so non-entity. You know what I mean? It's like a vacuum. It has no existence. It's like a ghost. It might be okay. You say, yeah, but you're getting 80 proof. You're getting 40% alcohol with that ghost. You don't have to taste it, enjoy it. You just get drunk, man. Get drunk, man. I understand that's an attitude on the internet. I'm not part of that world, you know. People will comment, I drank 5 Natty Daddies last night, man. I was sick. And I'm like, well, I'm not a preacher, you know. I don't want to be preachy, but I'm thinking to myself, that sounds like a horrendously bad life choice. And it doesn't sound smart to me. But I'm not over here telling other people what to do. I've been accused of being libertarian or worse. But, you know, so it's like, you got to do what you want to. I'm not over here to regulate people. I'm just saying, to me, it's not wise. Hi, I need to go to work. Laugh out loud. It says Hans Gomez. Yeah, it's my day off, so I can be leisure oriented today. I worked hard yesterday. Boy, that was a day. Whoa. Crazy day. Which one's better? Well, they're the same. I mean, neither's better. They simply exist. Which one would I choose? They both have a decent looking label. They're both the same price. I would just flip a coin. Heads, Heaven Hill, tails, T.W. Samuels. You say, but what's good about them? What's the good points? I'm not throwing up. You know, I'm not getting sick to my stomach yet. Ah, yeah, yeah. Ow, chihuahua. Whoa. Toot, toot. Oh, my gosh. Don't even bring it up. Which one is which? Okay, I'm going to guess. Ouch. Well, I think this is I have no confidence in it. How many times do you drink a whiskey and think, oh, I just can't wait for that honeydew melon flavor? Right, like never. This has that, and it's so odd in that respect. It's got to be Heaven Hill, Kentucky blended whiskey. I don't want anybody to watch this video and get the impression that this is the world of bourbon. This is not the world of bourbon. What we're doing today, this is the dark underworld. This is like the part of the whiskey world that people would rather not address. You know what I mean? This is the wrong side of the tracks. You know what I mean? All right, Heaven Hill over here. In my right hand, your left. This is Heaven Hill. Oh, HHKBW. Heaven Hill Kentucky Blended Whiskey. HHKBW. And this is TW. I did tell them apart. And what did I say early on? So, I wasn't just a 50-50 shot. What did I say? What did I say? You remember what I said? I said it had a melon flavor, and then I recollected. You know how sometimes you get caught recollecting? I recollected that it was what I remembered from Heaven Hill months ago, and it had that melon flavor. I didn't say it was a pleasant flavor. I didn't say it was a good flavor. I didn't say it was a flavor that I enjoyed or that I would recommend or that I would want to experience again. No, I just said it was a characteristic that seemed connected to Heaven Hill Kentucky Blended Whiskey. Won't you try? I'm trying, baby. I am trying. And like Grace Slick said, and if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. So she said, just try it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again. Well, I've tried it. And I don't have to do it again. Well, I do have to do it again until I finish these bottles off. But, you know, I mean, after the bottles are gone, I don't have to do it again. I tried it. Oh, look how much is left. Oh, boy, lucky me. Yeah, I tried it. And I ain't doing it again when these bottles are gone. I guarantee you that. I promise you. If you see me buying new bottles of Heaven Hill, Kentucky Blended Whiskey, and T.W. Samuels, you let me know and I will send you money. You will win money. But I have a feeling you ain't getting paid. Okay, so wow, that was about 30 minutes of over 30 minutes of sadness. But fascinating nonetheless. So, but anyway, so the next time we get together for this for this excite, I'm about to break into tears. This thing on Thursday is the plan. We're going to look at, you say, please don't say Kentucky Gold. I'm saying it. Heaven Hill, T.W. Samuels versus Kentucky Gold. Yeah. Right. What do we say? It is what it is. It is what it is. It's like, it could be worse. I could be the head coach at Michigan. Now, that would be stressful. Of course, I wouldn't mind getting fired for that kind of money. I wish somebody would fire me for $8 million. I could deal with that. But don't forget, a lot of these people with the high incomes got high expenditures. You might say, well, $8 million. I mean, you could live like a king. Yeah, but what if you got $9 million in debt? You know, of debt because you wanted to go buy the big house and you bought everything expensive, and you can make that kind of money, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck, you see, so you could be paranoid. Now, me, I would be very careful, you know, but other people are not. All right, thanks for watching this video. Production is so incredibly fascinating.